for joining me today. I am Yomi Akipelu, your wisdom coach, speaker, teacher, and author of Blow the Cap Off Your Capability and other books. In this podcast, we will learn from the wisdom of wise men and women from ancient and contemporary times. We will glean wisdom from books, biographies, teachings, quotes, and sayings of sages through the ages. So, let's dive right in. Today, we'll be speaking about failure, part 2. But first, a quote. A success is someone who fails but learns from it. A failure is someone who fails but fails to learn from it. Failure is a natural part of life. Show me someone who has not failed at least once, and I'll show you someone who has not dared to succeed. All great personalities have failed, some many times, but every time they fall, they get up and try again, driven by their inner faith. Problem is, we hear about them only after they attain success. We don't hear about them when they're struggling and failing, only after they have become a massive success. So, a few failures, a few obstacles, a few setbacks should not throw you off the path of success. Simply consider them as minor nuisances, little tests of characters on the path of success. Have complete confidence that you will eventually succeed and attain your goals. And you know what? Life has strange ways. When it realizes that you are not going to quit, that you are not going to submit, no matter what obstacles it places in your path, when it sees that nothing is going to drain your determination and enthusiasm, then, like a maiden giving in to a persistent suitor, it gives us everything we ask for. As you drive towards your destiny, you are sure to hit potholes along the way. Better believe it. Or take some wrong turns, or forget to check your fuel gauge and run out of fuel. The truth is, the only way to avoid failure is not to leave your driveway. The real issue in life isn't whether you're going to fail, but whether you're going to learn from your experience and turn it into the wisdom needed to succeed. In a survey of successful people, not one of them viewed their mistakes as failures. They considered them learning experiences or tuition paid or opportunities for growth. That's the winning attitude. Henry Ward Beecher said, "It's defeat that turns bone into flint, gristle into muscle, and makes men invincible. Do not then be afraid of defeat. You are never so near victory as when you are defeated in a good cause." So next time you fail at something, stop and ask yourself, what have I learned? Am I grateful for this experience? How can I turn it into a success? Where do I go from here? And so on. If you do, you'll grow stronger and wiser because of what you've been through. Failure means nothing at all if success eventually comes. The issue is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with failure. The secret of life is to fall 7 times and get up 8 times. Failure is simply what points you in the track of a better direction. Failure is not falling and getting up. Failure is falling and not trying and trying and trying again and again. It's only when you stop trying that you fail. Failure is folding arms in laziness, uttering ridiculous excuses. Failure is a teacher who promotes only those who learn from it. So, how do we handle failure? I recently read an interesting article doing the rounds on social media. It might be a true story or made up, but it perfectly illustrates my point. Here goes. There was a brilliant boy. He always scored 100% in science. He got selected for IIT Madras and scored excellently in IIT. He went to University of California for MBA. He got a high-paying job in America and settled there. He married a beautiful Tamil girl. He bought a big house and luxury cars. He had all the trappings of wealth and success. But a few years ago, he committed suicide after shooting his wife and children. So, what went wrong? California Institute of Clinical Psychology studied this case and found what went wrong. The researcher met the boy's friends and family and found that he had lost his job due to the Americans' economic crisis, and he had to sit at home without a job for a long time. After reducing his previous salary, he still didn't get any job. Then his house installment broke and he and his family lost the home. They survived a few months with little money, and then he and his wife together decided to commit suicide. He first shot his wife and children, then shot himself. The case concluded that the man was programmed for success but not trained for handling failures. Now let us come to the question, what are the habits of highly successful people? Many people talk about habits that lead to success. But today, let us focus on how to handle failure. Because even when you have achieved everything, there is a chance that you could lose everything. Nobody knows when the next economic crisis will hit the world. The best success habit is getting trained for handling failures. Every parent should not only program their children for success, but also teach them how to handle failures and the proper lessons about life. Learning high-level science, algebra, calculus, maths will help them clear competitive exams, but a knowledge about life, a knowledge about how to handle failures will help them to face every problem. Teach your children how money works. Instead of just teaching them to work for money, teach them how to manage the money, how money works. Help them find their passion, because the degrees that they achieve might not help them in the next economic crisis. So it is good to learn all the habits of highly successful people, but a crucial skill to learn must be how to handle failure. And that is because failure is inevitable on the path and journey of success. So ability to handle it and to rise from it and learn from it is an absolutely important success habit that every person needs to learn. Henry Ford said, "Failure is merely an opportunity to more intelligently begin again." Someone humorously said, "Businesses fail because of low sales. Businesses succeed because of high sales. Everything else is mere commentary." The cheapest way to learn is through other people's mistakes and failures. So, read their books, biographies, and stories and learn, so you don't have to make that mistake again. Whatever you want to achieve, it's better to start acting than wait to figure everything out. Fail quickly. Start doing it now. Don't let procrastination stop you. If you try 10 separate businesses and you fail at 9 of them, but succeed in one, then that's great. You only have to get it right once in your lifetime to become a huge success. So hurry up, get it wrong, fail as quickly as you can, make the mistakes, and then start succeeding. Making mistakes is not the most damaging thing on your road to success. It is procrastination. Procrastination is what is damaging, but we'll talk about that at a later time. Getting it wrong at the beginning is actually quite useful because you learn more quickly, you see more, you get greater depth and understanding, and then you can go on to success. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. Failure is part of the steps to success. Don't let the fear of failure stop you. Take that step and go for it. Robert Schuller said, "Failure doesn't mean you were dumb to try. It only means you had the courage to explore and experiment to see what would work and what would not." When you fail in something, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you haven't succeeded yet. Failure doesn't mean you have accomplished nothing. It does mean you have learned something. Failure doesn't mean that you have been a fool. It just means you had a lot of faith. And failure doesn't mean that you've been disgraced. It does mean you are willing to try. Failure doesn't mean you don't have it. It does mean you have to do something in a different way. Failure doesn't mean you are inferior. It does mean you are not perfect. Failure doesn't mean you've wasted your life. It just means you have a reason to start afresh. And failure doesn't mean you should give up. It just means you must try harder. And failure doesn't mean you'll never make it. It does mean it will take a little longer. Failure doesn't mean God has abandoned you. It does mean God has a better idea. And failure doesn't mean you are finished. It does mean you have a chance to try something new. So it's true, failure is never final. And that is all for today. Until next time, keep on growing in wisdom and maturity. Blow the cap off your capability. Be unstoppable. Be awesome. I'm cheering you on.